What are the most ridiculous actual names of people that you've heard of? Hal 3y. I was talking to Mom and said, "Oh, can I confirm the spelling please? I think someone made a typo." Nope, they didn't. And the kid also had a numeral in their middle name. And Dad legally changed their last name to also have a numeral in place of a letter. Poor kid is gonna have to explain that to anyone and everyone until they're old enough to decide if they want to change it, go by something else. And judging by Mom's attitude, she doesn't seem the type to honor her kid's wishes if the kid were to choose to go by a nickname. Sue, my ex, remarried. She has two children whose names all start with the same first letter and have weird spellings. Christ, I hope they never see this cause it's a giveaway. Megan May M. Stephanie Sky S. When they conceived a child together they wanted biblical, but their last name begins with K. Do you see where I'm going yet? Not fully, you don't. They chose Noah Kevin K. It's pronounced Noah clearly, but they needed the initials to be KKK. It took legit 7 months to talk them out of it. When I was a substitute teacher there was a girl with a backwards 3 in her name. It was on the attendance sheet and she was angry when I asked how to pronounce it. It wasn't intuitive and she refused to tell me. I tried putting an E in its place and just saying 3 for that character. Each just made her angrier. I gave up and said, I only have to know if you're here or not, and I am fairly confident on that one. Don't remember the other letters were because it just wasn't a word. At the time I didn't catch on to it, but a few years after high school I was like, hold up one sec. Her name was crystal clear. I hope she's doing well. She was really sweet. Also, my ex supposedly had a friend named Jack Jackman, and I thought it was made up, as we often made up joke names for people like that. When I finally met this person I had to verify his ID. I'm still not convinced. Could be a fake ID. Jeddah Master Barehand. Ridiculous. But kinda awesome. Also knew a girl in high school with the last name Hensiker, which seemed particularly weird when I learned that a lot of last names come from families being associated with certain occupations. Forgot another one that came up recently. A mother named Marietta has 2 daughters named Marietta and Marietta Lynn. My wife works for a school district in IT, so I see all kinds of crazy names. There's also a lot of name-shaming groups out there. I unique multiple instances of this one. Ronathan, Jocelyn, Zatum, London Dior, Sharte, Keithabeth, and many more. Tough to keep track because terrible new names come up. Jack Mayhem pending charges on him terrorizing. Runner-up was probably Savannah Banana for some bail violations. The story we heard in the office was that she changed it to that name intentionally. Never quite clear why. Honorable mention for Jesse James. Met Captain Awesome. Was a dude who had his identity stolen and made the most of it. Also met the same problem. My computer disagreed with that. And after telling them about it they were furious at me as though I was the one who chose a single character for a name. I find it interesting parents are naming their kids Jackson, for Jax from Sons of Anarchy. If you like the actor, then how about Charlie? Jax was not a good person. And if you're a mom who names your kid Jax, you know what Jax ended up doing to his mother. My dad had a set of twin brothers named Wilfred and Alfred. My maternal grandfather also had a set of twin brothers named Merle and Burl. The names themselves aren't all that weird, especially for the time. But I've never understood rhyming twins. For decades, one of the Charlotte, NC City Council members was Betty Chaffin. She finally got married to a man whose last name was Rash. She decided to hyphenate instead of give up her name recognition, so she became Betty Chaffin Rash. Kai was in sales at a synthesizer company. His name was Richard Head. When he introduced himself, he followed it with, "Bet you'll never forget my name." Nope, never did forget it. And that was in 1990 that we met. Got a few. Sterling Brain. Sydney Harbour Bridge, yep. Lived in Sydney. 2 twin girls called Mona Lisa, and a lucky Filipino IT support guy called Drogan Hung, or maybe it was his girlfriend. He was lucky. Grew up with a guy named Just In Case. I didn't even realize it was a funny name until I introduced him to a new person, and the other person started cracking up. Claims he was named after his dad lost a bet. Maybe not ridiculous, but still, I've known to echo S from a song from Bob Dylan's song. If I had a nickel ... an Atlantis beautiful smile. And even one guy from Nigeria named Gift his mum knew. Louis Magic Ocean Music Lasnan. He was in the local paper's police blog for some random crime. Some people I work with knew him from high school. It's a legit name. His parents were huge hippies. When I heard a mother calling Leviticus Leviticus in a supermarket, trying to get their child's attention, I thought, oh no ... Somehow, it got worse when I realized that was her daughter's name. Some of the Asian exchange students in my high school translated their names directly to English. So, we had native Chinese students who went by the names Happy Thank You and Precious Person. I went to high school with B.J. Cummings, and I swear to Christ, he joined the Navy and thus was Seaman B.J. Cummings. I know it sounds like a punch line of a bad dad joke, but it's true. I met a teen girl a couple years ago named Bradley. I think her parents were trying to be funky, with a play on a unisex name like Ryan or Dylan. Oh, and twins named Brandon Brendan. I used to work at a jail, so a lot of weird last names. First one's last name was Dingus and second guy's last name was Cock. Second guy said yep. It's pronounced exactly how you think. My husband has a friend named Iraq and his twin brother is named Iran. It's just really random because they're from Mexico and they don't have any connection to the Middle East. I grew up with a guy whose name Orange with of apostrophe. We called him OJ and his mother would yell at us, it's not OJ, it's Orange. Too funny. Good guy, but mom was weird. I worked with someone whose son's first name was Thor and his middle name was Vanilla. They just picked a couple of their random favorite things and named their kid after them. My dad always told a story of the man he actually knew, named Doris, who then, you guessed it, married a woman named Doris. So they became Doris. Marie wanted ... Her parents were immigrants, so they anglicized her first name. Middle name after a grandmother. Ironically, they are very conservative and religious. It's not that ridiculous, cause it's a common Muslim name, but Usman. Can't imagine someone with that name in the US. Children would be calling him Asman, probably G's. Richard Coburn, and yes, he went by Dick. Sudley. His last name was pronounced like the port wine, like you were burning something with another person together. Reginald Sebastian A. D. Georges York. And just in case any further clarification was needed, yes, Mr. St. George's York was indeed a complete and utter knobhead. Bent Winkle. No shit. We were on a sales conference in Madrid and this guy's name slide appears, and the tech crew just lost their shit laughing. Fucking gold. Boner Bulger. We thought it was a made-up name to get in school announcements, like Mike Hawke. But then we met the nice Scottish kid with humorous parents. There were realtors many years ago in Portland, Oregon named Kishore Thorkelson and Valdemar Spleed. You would see their signs on lawns around town. I came across a loan application with a woman's name Jewel of the Universe. As I go through her application, her husband's name was Kumbaya. Imala. If it was a first name middle name combo of Emily, that would be one thing. But it wasn't. Her name was pronounced Emily. Saw a contestant on the original run of Supermarket Sweep named Velveeta. I also taught for a while. Sundoozies. Alacanes was up there. Mr. Gaylord Fagel and my dad thought I was being rude about the substitute I had. 2 weeks later he was covering my brother's class. Once I saw where a teacher responded to a question like this. Her student's name was Smerlin. That one has always stuck with me. Astrid. I read her name before I ever met her. And I thought it was pronounced Usterd. That shit had me rolling, no pun intended. I work with 2 women whose first name is Princess Diana, one man whose given name is Spaghetti. Filipino names are wild. I lived in a town of 3,000 people. In that town there was one person named Michael Hunt and another named Harold Beaver. No lie. Dijonais. I will never not find this one funny, because the mum still doesn't believe there's a condiment with that name. A neighbor named Harry Bush. He said he learned to things growing up with that name, won a sense of humor to how to fight. Went to high school circa 2000 with a kid named Lemon Jello. I wish him the best and I hope he's changed his name since. Where's all the old-timey race car fans at? Dick Trickle. One of the speakers at my high school graduation was Dr. Love. Usmally Russian, legit name, I swear I couldn't believe it. Used to work for a cell phone company and they called in LOL. When I was in the army, I once met a sergeant named Elvis Rambo. Yes. He had a rough time when he went through basic. Did a job for a woman a few years ago named Atrina. I know others will be way worse. But naming your kid AGD toilet. I knew a lady named Sandy who married a guy with the last name Beach ... and she went ahead and took his last name. A guy I went to school with in the 8th grade. His last name was Case. His parents actually named him Justin. Steve Kerr, the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, named his son Nick. It's not short for Nicholas. Once met a man named Increasakachi, pronounced exactly as you think it sounds. I think he was Haitian. We have a woman in my town named Chiquita Peacock. She was a customer when I worked at the phone store. Kai Alexandria. It's like her mum decided to spell the name by banging her head against the keyboard.